Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome to Everything Within podcast. I'm your host, Alina Krasnojon. This podcast is all about empowering you to build an extraordinary, fulfilling life and tap into the limitless potential that resides within you. Thank you for tuning in today. In today's episode, I would like to talk about self-confidence and how you can start building it if it's something that you struggle with. It's such an important topic in my opinion. No matter what you do in life, it influences everything you do on a daily basis, starting from your work, relationships, the way you show up in the world, and the way you interact with other people. There are some people who are more naturally confident than others, but I have never met a person in my life who was confident in everything that she was doing. So if now you feel like you lack self-confidence, remember that it's a skill that you can build and the domain of your life that you can master if you commit to work on developing it. Let's get started. I personally was never a very confident person. For the biggest part of my life, I trusted other people and valued their opinion about me and what I was doing more than my own. I was brought up to be a very shy, closed, obedient, and quiet girl. I was never really taught how to express my opinion and how to stand up for myself, so no wonder it started to feel like a struggle to start trusting myself and to find the confidence I needed to start doing what I truly wanted. It's still something I work a lot on a daily basis and I still struggle with it sometimes, but with time and practice, I feel that it becomes easier. We don't want confidence just for the sake of it. We want it for achieving our goals, building a better life, to perform better in all areas of our lives, like business, relationships, sport, public speaking, and so on. So if you had more confidence, how your life could be different? How would you perform in your everyday life? What kind of a person would you be and what would you do? Have you ever thought about it? How would it feel in your body if you could show up every single day for yourself as a confident person? Confidence is usually defined as the ability to trust yourself and your abilities. Confidence doesn't come naturally. Nobody is born with it. The biggest misconception about self-confidence is that I have to feel confident before I take action. Although before you take action and practice the skill you would like to master over and over again, you cannot start feeling more confident. But the more you practice to act and make decisions as a confident person, the more confident you feel. The willingness to take that first scary, uncomfortable step and to practice is already an act of courage and confidence. Before you take action, you cannot feel confident, but you need to feel confident to take action. It's kind of a vicious circle in a way, and the solution for it is to find the courage to take that first step, trust yourself, and do this scary thing you're so afraid to do, but that you're so desperately want to do. Trust yourself, trust the process, and step up into the unknown. Believe that you can actually do it. To start developing self-confidence, it's important to understand how your brain evolved and how it works, what stories it tells you every single day, and how these stories, thoughts, and emotions prevent you from doing what is important to you. If you keep thinking the same unhelpful thoughts, feel the same negative emotions, and act the same way based on these negative feelings for years, for decades of your life, it becomes a part of who you are, and being the person who lacks confidence becomes your reality. But the good part is that you can change it in every moment by choosing to think another thought and do it over and over again until it becomes easy and effortless. And it's how you change your reality. Many things we do today easily and naturally were a struggle at some point of our lives, but now we feel confident about them. So we take them for granted sometimes and think that it was always this way, although it wasn't. When you were a child, you couldn't write and read, but you have been doing it for such a long time that sometimes you start to take these skills for granted, as if you have always been able to do that. Think about the area of your life where you feel you lack confidence. Why do you think it happens? There are 5 main reasons why people usually tend to lack confidence. The first reason is excessive expectations. Have you ever started anything new and expected to perform perfectly and wanted immediate results? I bet you did. And when you started, you realized that doing something new is hard, that practice brings you discomfort because you don't have necessary skills just yet to bring your vision into life. Most likely, in the beginning, you will suck. It will feel cringy to look at the first attempts of your work. You will feel embarrassed and feel like you cannot do it and that you will never become better. It can be very hard to accept. In the beginning, at least it was for me, and it's still the case sometimes. It's exactly these negative thoughts and uncomfortable feelings that will make you quit before you start becoming better at what you do. It's important, don't be a perfectionist at the beginning stage of your journey. Experiment, don't create too high expectations for yourself. It doesn't mean that you don't need to have a vision and improve yourself, but in the beginning you need to accept the pain of your lack of skills and work through this pain to be able to actually improve your skills. You need to create realistic goals and expectations when you start doing something new. Without it, you will be overwhelmed, lost, and feel like you progress not fast enough, that you will never become better, and it's exactly what will make you quit. The second reason is harsh self-judgment. How often do you judge yourself? How often do you say to yourself that you are not good enough, that you don't have what it takes, that everything you do sucks, somebody can do it better than you? Maybe quite often you feel like an imposter. It's totally normal. The human mind has evolved to think negatively, to judge, to criticize, and to predict the worst, and help to survive and keep us safe for a million of years. But by being too harsh with yourself and by constantly judging yourself, you cannot really improve. You need to learn to be able to let go sometimes. Don't cling when something doesn't work and just keep trying. Otherwise, you will be trapped in your head and the pattern of self-judgment for a very long time, and you won't be able to become better at what you do. The third reason why people usually tend to lack confidence is preoccupation with fear. We all have our own fears, but most of fears we experience as human beings universal to all of us. It can be fear of rejection, fear of judgment, fear of failure, or fear of embarrassment. But fear itself doesn't affect your confidence. It's when you start to drown in it, to worry about it too much, it becomes dangerous. The more we are preoccupied with our fear, the more it will affect our self-confidence in a negative way. The key here isn't to avoid how you feel. It's to feel fear, embrace it, befriend it, and do the thing you want to do anyway, despite fear. You will always feel fearful when you will do the important things that matter to you, when you will need to step up in the unknown, to leave your comfort zone. But the more action you will take, the weaker your fear will become, even if it still will be there. Often it's when you refuse to feel the fear or to do a scary thing you want to do is what makes your fear worse than it actually is. But when you accept that feeling and accept that fear inside of you and choose to act despite it, it becomes smaller. The fourth reason is lack of experience. We can't have an experience until we start doing something, start making mistakes, start learning. Until we have experience, we cannot expect to feel confident in any field, be it speaking on camera, becoming a web designer, or an artist. It's when doing the actual thing it's so important, rather than learning about it, thinking, or fantasizing about it. It's not the same. Only by doing you can gain the experience you need that will help you to build your self-confidence. So if you feel like you have been gathering information forever and learning endless theory, stop and try to do the actual thing instead of learning about it. The reason number 5 is lack of skills. It's natural to feel lack of confidence until you start developing your skills. For example, you would like to speak a foreign language, but for doing that, you need to practice, you need to try, and until you do it, you cannot expect to be fluent. The more you practice, the more confident you will feel. It's a natural order of things. But when you know you lack skills to make something you want happen, you'll feel the lack of confidence. It's natural. That's why you have a lot of self-doubts and fear, because you don't have enough skills. And deep down, you know it, even if you try to convince yourself otherwise. Another important important thing is you need to understand how the human brain works. It's absolutely vital. The human brain evolved to think negatively, as I mentioned before. It evolved to help us to survive and keep us safe. Our world looked completely different from the one humans lived in hundreds of thousands years ago, although the human brain stayed the same, especially the prehistorical lizard part of your brain. I used to think that something was wrong with me when I criticized myself, compared myself, judged, and predict the worst case scenario. But the truth is that it's just a part of being a human and having a human brain. Often we tend to rationalize many things and think that we can control consciously everything that is happening with us, but the truth is we don't. Most of the things that happen in our lives happen unconsciously. Your thoughts, deeply ingrained beliefs, fears, even the perception of the world is unconscious sometimes. You don't really know where your thoughts are coming from, why you react to certain things the way you do. Have you ever questioned any of it? Where all this comes from? Does it really comes from you? Of course, all this can be influenced by the way you were raised as a child, the culture and society you grew up in, but many of these things are unique to you and your genetics, and we cannot really control any of these things sometimes. Although by being an aware, grown-up, conscious adult, you can choose how you react to every situation that is happening in your life, even if it's out of your control. You still have the power to choose how you behave, the way you act, the thoughts you think, the emotions you feel, and the actions you take. So choose to act consciously, be aware, and there won't be any situation that will upset you, cause you negative emotions, even if those situations will be out of your control. It can sound dark and negative, but for me personally, it was kind of liberating. For such a long time, I was watching people who kept saying, just be positive, just be confident, just set your goals and achieve them, just take action and show up confidently every single day. So I was thinking that something was wrong with me when I struggled with fear, anxiety, and was paralyzed by my thoughts and couldn't take action for months. I merged with my thoughts too much, believed the stories my mind was telling me, and perceived it as some universal truth about myself. I can't do it. I'm not good enough. I don't know how. I'm lazy. I lack motivation. I'm an imposter. Until everything is perfect, I can't take action. No wonder I had anxiety all the time, couldn't relax, and couldn't take action to finally start building my business and live the life I have always dreamt of. Your mind has always an opinion. It's like a loud, non-stop radio that speaks day and night and day. You cannot stop thoughts from popping up in your head. It's like a waterfall or never-ending waves on the sea surface. And often you're not even aware that is happening. So now, every time you have a negative thought, try to stop and question it. You will see that you don't have to believe everything your mind is telling you. In most of the cases, it's just a useless monkey chatter of your monkey mind. The most challenging thing you're about to do, the louder the radio will become. Creating a fulfilling life demands making hard choices, leaving your comfort zone, facing challenges, embracing your fears, challenge your beliefs, and the way you view the world. Your mind can't prevent you from doing all this. Can you learn to separate yourself from your thoughts and emotions, observe them, and do what matters to you? Sure, you can, but it demands a little bit of practice and time. Learn to separate yourself from your unhelpful thoughts and emotions rather than merging with them. You are not your thoughts. You are not your mind. You are so much more. Don't ever forget about that. Separation from your thoughts and feelings doesn't mean avoiding how you feel or what you think. Neither it means responding to it on autopilot. But as I mentioned above, the more challenge you face, the more reasons your mind will give you why you shouldn't do it, why you can't do it, and why you should stay silent. When you notice these unhelpful thoughts, you need to get some distance from them. Learn to separate yourself from your thoughts, especially unhelpful thoughts. When you're aware of them, name them. When you don't resist or try to suppress them, you can be more present and engaged fully in what you're doing now, rather than being lost in your head all day long. Can you imagine how the quality of actions and the quality of your work will improve when you can be fully present with whatever you're doing at this very moment, rather than worrying about the past or the future? There are several exercises and techniques you can do daily to help you to deal with negative, invasive thoughts and feelings. Try to observe, look at your thoughts from some distance, separate yourself from them, and be aware that you actually have them. When you become aware of these thoughts, they will have automatically less power over you. As soon as you see them from the side, try to name them. Notice how you feel and where sensations in your body are concentrated. Accept your thoughts and feelings. Try not to resist, avoid, or suppress these thoughts, but let them just be. Are you able to do that and continue to engage fully in whatever you're doing? If not, you should try to practice more, and it will become easier with time. I promise you that. When you let your unhelpful thoughts just be, can you imagine how much more energy you liberate to do what matters and to take an effective action? There are some other practices you can do daily to help you. You can practice mindfulness during your everyday activities. It's when you engage fully in what you do and when you're 100% present in this very moment without your mind wandering and worrying about the future or the past, without distracting yourself or trying to avoid doing hard things. You can also practice conscious breathing for several minutes every single day. It helps to get in touch with your body. I personally practice meditation daily. It helps me to be still, to be in the moment, to be in the present, to observe my thoughts and separate myself from them. As I mentioned before, negative thoughts are not a problem, but your fusion with these thoughts is. The next very important thing you need to do is to clarify your values. I have never realized the importance of values in my life. I had some vague idea of what I valued and what I wanted, but I have never actually taken the time to clarify and to think about my values on a more deep level. Although it's exactly your values that influence how you behave through your life and the way you live your life. Values guide you, they help you to stay on track, and they help you to keep going when things get tough. They'll help you to be more happy and fulfilled in the moment rather than waiting for some achievements or the end results to make you happy. So if you have never thought about your values before, I strongly recommend you do so. It's absolutely vital. You may not achieve all your goals, or it might take you a lot of time, but if during this time you lived accordingly to your values, it will give you fulfillment and satisfaction now and will help you to stay on your journey. I won't give you a list of values here, but I encourage you to find value lists on the internet. Think about them, journal about them, do the work and clarify your values. Your journey begins only when you take action. As I mentioned before, action comes first and the feeling of confidence comes after. Now you have techniques that can help you to deal with unhelpful thoughts and feelings so that you can take action and engage fully in what you do. Stop being so serious all the time as well. Play the game, try new things and experiment more. Even if you fail, make mistakes and produce shit, don't achieve all your goals right away, you will improve your skills. You will learn to make room for discomfort and gain more confidence as you will have more experience. When you do something meaningful, it's okay to feel discomfort. Make room for it. Create a habit to take a committed action based on your values, whether you feel like taking action or not. If you struggle a lot, take time to come back to your values, goals, and journal about them. Set realistic goals for yourself and make room for discomfort. You are free to dream big and to have big goals, but make sure that you break these huge goals down into smaller ones, more realistic ones. The goals that don't exceed your resources. It will help you to feel less overwhelmed and stick to taking daily action steps, baby steps, that will eventually help you to get you where you want to be. If you want to become good at something, you need to practice. Practice is not always easy, especially when you practice a brand new skill. It tends to bring a lot of discomfort, so we tend to avoid the practice, but without practice, you cannot improve your skills. And without improving your skills, you cannot start feeling more confident. You need to go through the painful process of practice and don't search for quick fixes. Learn from your failures and practice self-acceptance. Failure hurts, but if you're willing to learn from it, it can be a powerful teacher. How many times have you beaten yourself up when you failed? Clearly, it doesn't work. Because if it did, you could be perfect by now, living your dream life. While dealing with failure, you can use the same techniques as dealing with your unhelpful thoughts and feelings. Notice loser stories, name them, let them come and go. Don't get stuck in them. Make space for unpleasant feelings, breathe into them, let them be, and don't try to suppress or avoid them. Be kind to yourself. Nobody wants to deal with a bully, especially when it's your mind that bullies you constantly. Practice self-acceptance. Appreciate what worked, appreciate your courage, effort, and persistence. It helps to encourage you and keep going. Be grateful of how far you came. Often we tend to forget about that. Learn from your failure and find something useful. Ask what can you do differently next time that might lead you to a better outcome. Come back to your values. What do you want to stand for? What matters to you? Why do you do what you do? Self-confidence, not something we're born with. But I believe that everybody can learn to be more confident if we commit to doing so. It doesn't come naturally, but if you're willing to do daily practices that help you to diffuse yourself from unhelpful thoughts and feelings, clarify and embrace your values, take committed action, set realistic goals, practice your skills, learn from your failure, and practice self-acceptance, you can definitely learn to be more confident in all areas of your life. Thank you for listening. What did your journey of building self-confidence look like? Share with me. I would love to hear from you. Until the next time, bye!
Set me free.